So is MicroStrategy a Ponzi scheme? What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBet Solutions, and let's jump right into it. So there were so many people that were so passionate about MicroStrategy as I shorted it last week. For those that do not know, MicroStrategy is a company that, if you look at it on the day chart, has gone from lows after its stock split from $13 per share all the way to highs of $543 per share. I mean, we can really even just talk about the price point that it was at in December, from lows of 120 to highs of 543, a 356% return in just the past 2 months. I'm literally talking about 80 days, right? So very, nearly 3 months. But if you look at the overall lows of $13.26 per share, to the current highs, all-time highs that we made, that's over a 3,000% return. And that's just been in the past year, right? Pretty much year to date. So MicroStrategy is a company that I've been paying attention to because it became incredibly overbought, in my opinion, incredibly overvalued. And I made $15,000 shorting it as it sold off. If you guys didn't watch that video, feel free to watch my video on Thursday. And I showed the entire trade from overall highs to overall lows. It was a beautiful short. But I got a lot of comments. A lot of people were very passionate about MicroStrategy. They continue to comment and say, I don't know what I'm talking about this company. And it really motivated, like all like jokes aside, it really did motivate me to want to learn more. You have to understand, like, as a trader, anytime, right? I've seen it all from AMC and GME. People would always tell me that I was wrong for encouraging beginners to lock in profits when it became very overbought. During the whole DJT thing, I've always been very open about that my focus is to look out for beginners. And when I see that beginners are being convinced and motivated to buy a stock that is extremely overbought within a short period of time, to me, naturally, I'm just like, hey, this is a pump and dump. What goes up 300% in 80 days will eventually correct itself. But you guys did motivate me to look a little bit further into it. And I'm not going to lie, like, I found it quite interesting and I thought I would share it with you guys. Do I agree and think that MicroStrategy is a good investment at this price level? I'm going to be very straightforward with you. No. But do I believe, based off of what I've read about the owner of the CEO, or what is he, the co-founder of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, do I think that he is someone that is very motivated by Bitcoin and its possibilities? Yeah, I truly do think that, like, I haven't seen someone this passionate, and not just passionate about it. There's a bunch of people that are passionate about things that will say whatever they want, right? But he is putting his money where his mouth is, right? So let me explain why I think it's showing signs of it being somewhat of like a Ponzi scheme, right? For those that do not know, well, first off, what is MicroStrategy? So MicroStrategy actually originally started as like a software company. And just like many companies that are publicly traded, with the cash that they have available or pretty much in reserves, if they're not going to be using that capital, they can invest it into bond, right? So therefore, they can invest it in treasury bonds, whatever the case might be. So therefore, they can actually earn interest off of that capital. Because again, you're talking about, in some cases, millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and in other cases, billions of dollars. So MicroStrategy took a different approach. So although it is technically still somewhat of a software company, in my opinion, and please let me know what you think, it's pretty much just an indicator for a leading indicator for Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is performing. And if you think that Bitcoin is only getting started as it's at $100,000 per coin, then based off of what I've heard and read from Michael Saylor, the co-founder of MicroStrategy, I can see why you're bullish on MSTR, which is the ticker for this. So what MicroStrategy now does, and this is pretty crazy. So what they now do is they are pretty much selling almost all of their shares that they own as the company for MicroStrategy, and using that capital to raise and borrow against to be able to invest it into Bitcoin. And to me, that just sounds like a Ponzi scheme, right? Like, what is a Ponzi scheme? Where you use other people's money to then pay other people that are supposedly investing into this business. Like, it's no longer like, I guess it is a strategy, but it's a one-trick pony strategy where, again, you're just investing and hoping that the hype continues and that Bitcoin continues to skyrocket. So with the plans to raise $42 billion in 3 years, the company has taken a bold step to finance its Bitcoin buying spree. And I think that's the best way to really highlight this. So some people might think this guy's absolutely crazy. I'm kind of one of those people, but I kind of like this crazy. And I respect it from afar. I think that's the best way for me to put it. I can tell that the way that Michael Saylor is talking, like, he truly does believe what it is that he's saying. He truly does believe in Bitcoin and how bullish he thinks it's going to be in the long term. And he's putting his money where his mouth is. He set up this whole kind of like system within MicroStrategy that not only is he able to borrow against the company, but he also offers convertible bonds at 0% interest that individuals understand what they're getting themselves into, where it just allows them to even have more capital to be able to buy even more Bitcoin. So as long as both parties understand, and that's my kind of like the whole thing that I've taken from this, is that this is, in my opinion, a very, aggressive way to invest in Bitcoin. If you really do believe that Bitcoin is going to continue to skyrocket, then yeah, I can see why you're invested in MicroStrategy. Do I have to agree with you? Well, no, I don't, right? Because in my way of thinking, what I've seen with Bitcoin, it's very easy to talk about how great something is and how incredibly successful something is in the short term, because Bitcoin is currently going through a very bullish run. But what happens when Bitcoin begins to dip? Because we all know that has happened in the past before. It's not an if Bitcoin will correct itself, it's a matter of when, right? Just like we saw when it ran up to like 29,000 and it sold back off to 2,000. When it ran up to, 67,000 and it sold off to 16,000. And FTX and all those companies went bankrupt because they were incredibly leveraged and a ton of people got margin called. Those are the moments that I want to see what Michael Saylor is saying. And those are the moments I want to see for those that are invested in MicroStrategy, to see if they still see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think it's very narrow-minded for someone to think that, oh, yes, this is a good deal. It's only getting started, and it's going to continue to skyrocket from here long term. My concern with this is, yeah, I do believe that Bitcoin, even with where we're at right now, I think it's trading at like 97, 98,000 per coin. I truly do believe that, yeah, it could hit 100, maybe 110,000 per coin. But I do know one thing. The profit potential from where we're at right now, what is it going to make? 10 or 20,000 per coin? Cool. What's the risk potential? So much more. The downside risk is so much more significant than the upside potential. And I think that's just very simple to understand. But those that only want to think about how much something is going to grow and not take that downside risk into consideration, I think is very narrow-minded. I just hope that if you do choose to truly invest in MSTR, which means that you're buying at these levels, right? Just like they're buying Bitcoin at $90,000, $98,000 per coin. I wish you guys nothing but the best. It's a very aggressive way to be invested, but it's true. It can be a very profitable way if it continues to skyrocket, if the hype continues. The concern is when it doesn't. What are you going to do? At that point, the rug can get pulled, and we might see one of the most significant crashes that we've ever seen with Bitcoin ever before, because there's never been this much money invested in Bitcoin. So just as quick as we saw it skyrocket, could be just as quick and aggressive as we see it crash. Remember, the first time it went to like 27 or 29,000 and it crashed to 2,000. The following time it went to 67,000 and it crashed to like 14 or 16,000. This time it's hitting 100,000. So what's the floor? What's the bottom? 20,000? 22? How do you think MicroStrategy is going to succeed when it's down, over 50, 60, 70%? I just think it's very important to always take both sides into consideration. But I respect it. I respect it in a way that it is possible that this thing does continue to do well in the short term. My concern for those that are investing now, not for the people that invested a few months ago, but for those that are investing now, to make sure that you have some form of risk management. And I hope you just see it as that, right? I wish you guys nothing but the best. You guys let me know down in the comments section, what is one of the main reasons you're choosing to invest into MicroStrategy right now at $430 per share? That is my question. Not if you purchased that 200, not if you purchased that 100, but right now. Do you think it's a good investment, or do you think it's too risky? I think it's very easy for people to see kind of through the hype that, yeah, maybe you've kind of missed the train. So I wish you guys nothing but the best. I hope to see you for our live trading session on Monday. And if you want to tune on in, second link in the description down below, and you can join us for as little as $1 a day. So like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.